Hello everyone, how are you doing, and welcome to today's video in which we're going to take a look at one of the worst translations I have ever seen in my life, go through each element of it, and see how it might be misconstrued to cause some damage to innocent people. Without further ado, let's just dive in. Now, I'm sure we can all agree that one of the keys to a good instruction manual / pamphlet is a good informative title, so you know exactly what you're doing and how it works. The child electricity moves the Jeep 2078, assemble the diagram. I am informed. The title alone does leave me baffled, and I immediately have a few questions to pose to the creator. Do I have to pre-charge my child with electricity for the Jeep 2078 assemble the diagram to work? Or does the Jeep 2078 assemble the diagram come with a charging mechanism of sorts in which when my child sits in said Jeep, it immediately charges him up, maybe a lightning adapter of sorts? I don't know, I'm spitballing here. Also, may I pose the question, why do I have to assemble the diagram? Maybe pre-assemble the diagrams, because that's just a little bit too much work for me, I think. Either way, overall I'm impressed with the title. It's blunt and it says what it does. However, children to me seem hyperactive enough as it is. Maybe giving them a jolt of mains electricity won't be the best idea, especially if they're operating a motor vehicle. Regardless, let's get on to some assembly instructions. Number 1. Use 9 screws to point a pack by the diagram good. What is of fundamental intrinsic importance here, chaps, is that you use 9 screws precisely to point to pack by the diagram good. If you use 8 screws or use 10 screws, you're going to point to the pack by the diagram bad, and you don't want your child driving around in that, do you? Instruction number 2. Wear the electrical engineering to fix with the screw into the iron bar. Notice the spelling of wear. The creator of this device, the orchestrator of this pamphlet, wants us to wear the electrical engineering as one would wear a finely tailored suit. I don't know much about engineering, but if there's any engineers out there, hit me up with a bit of advice, because I really want to do this right. I mean, I've hit up eBay, I've hit up Amazon, I've hit up everywhere one could possibly hit up, and when I search for a wearable electrical engineering, I'm getting soldering irons and the like. I need a bit of help here. Anyway, on to number 3. Cut through the carriage the iron bar in from a downward fix with the mat and openings needle. Let me just preface something here in all sincerity. The title says, the child electricity moves the Jeep, right? Now, I know this is probably aimed for a parent, a supervisor, to build this Jeep for the child, but the word child has been thrown in there a little bit, and I don't see any warnings on this to say that my child shouldn't be the one applying a downward fix with the mat and openings needle. A child sees these words, he sees electricity, he sees needle, he sees Jeep, downward bars, we're talking fixing, electrical engineering, screws. The child will become excited and start playing around with all this, by the sounds of it, industrial level equipment supplied with this Jeep, and that just doesn't sound safe to me. A very responsible adult, I believe, is required to be the one who is literally going to cut through the carriage. And I'm not sure what carriage is supplied. Is he talking about a train carriage? One of those things that pulls airplane luggage? What is supplied with this creation? I'm gagging to know. I mean, I assume there's a chainsaw included for me to get through the steel hull of this carriage, but if not, what am I going to use? Blunted scissors? No. Anyway, instruction number 4. Wear into the X round. Now, there's a bracket here that says bread TR, and I'm not quite sure what this is. I don't know if it's an actual word, so I'm just going to pronounce it bretter. Okay? So, wear into the X round, bracket, bretter, to iron bar, to button up, to fix with the mat and iron. So far, in my long existence on this planet, number 4 of this instruction pamphlet is the most crystal clear lagoon perfection instruction I have ever read in my entire life. It is so obvious and clear what he's trying to get us to do here. What he wants us to do is wear a costume of an ex-lover, could be male or female, that was round, so quite a plump one, right? Then he wants you to get a bit of bread and scratch TR into the surface. Then, with an iron bar, you're going to fix a mat with an iron. And also, when you're fixing this mat with the iron, you're gonna get a nice smooth bit of mat. You're not gonna get any creases, any crinkles. It's going to be lovely and smooth. Don't forget your iron bar, because you're fixing the mat with that. So you have to be smacking this mat with the iron bar, thump, 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 and then after every thump, you're getting your actual iron and just over the top. Lovely. Instruction number 5. Cut through to fix with the nut with the long screw and steer device. So, in layman's terms, you cut a hole into the Jeep, right? And then you steal a nut from a squirrel or an animal of the like. It might be in hibernation. You just pop in there and grab a nut out of it. Then you drive a long screw through that nut and just steer it home right into the device. Which device? They've mentioned that before, I'm sure. Device, right? Yeah, device. It failed to mention you obviously get a smartphone with this Jeep, so you can actually read these instructions, right? Anyway, number 6. Will depend to carry on the back from the top downward fix with 4 screws. I'm not even going to debunk this one, that was very simple. And last, but by no means least, the most important instruction of them all, number 7. Reflection mirror is from the top downward button up into the carriage. Now, if I was going to give one word of advice to the writer of this pamphlet, it would be punctuation. There's one simple flaw with these instructions that I think everyone's overhyping a bit too much. I mean, these guys, obviously English isn't their native tongue, they're trying their best, but if you just put some commas in there maybe a full stop, a semicolon every now and again, I think it really would straighten it all out and make it a hell of a lot more coherent for the average bloke. That being said, I do want to bring something up briefly. From what I can gather when looking at this product here, it's not a little toy car, seeing as the child's electricity moves it, so I assume the child's pedaling or something of the like. And when you look at the instructions, they're actually quite deep. You have to, a lot of screws and things. If the child is theoretically going to be sitting and driving around in this thing, these instructions are fucking useless. They are utterly poor. Would you trust yourself to interpret this enough to allow your child, your little Jimmy, hello Jimmy, would you trust little Jimmy to get into this car and be, Daddy, I'm driving, and off he pedals? We've got words of electricity being flown around. We've got iron bars, carriages, cutting, engineering of the electrical sort. Now electrical engineering is one hell of a degree to get. And I'm no electrical engineer. It's very specifically catered to a specific type of person, I think. But regardless, it does sound like a hell of a lot of fun. I would like to have a little go in one. Yes, I would. Moral of the story, chaps, is this: don't skimp out. Don't buy your child some car from China or Taiwan, wherever the hell these things come from. Buy a nice drivable little electric car from a nice place that's got coherent instructions that you can actually read and build with. That being said, I hope you wonderful ladies and gentlemen enjoyed this video. It's a very different one from what I usually do. However, I saw this pamphlet online and I just couldn't help myself. I just couldn't stop myself going through and having a little tease with you chaps about it. So if you've enjoyed this video, let me know. I know I'm probably going to get a little bit of anger for it because it's not Rust. But mark my words, Planet Rust, the last episode is coming. If you've stayed this long, you can hear this from me directly. I'm sorry for its lateness, but as I've said many times on Twitter and the like, with the big update and everything, I don't want to rush this last video out. I want to make it just perfect. I want to really round this series off in the way that it deserves, and more importantly, that you, my audience, deserve. So, thank you very much for watching this video, chaps. Hope you have a wonderful day. Stay coy.